All right, my friends, today I've got a video for you on belt setup. So this video is also going to kind of tie into my plate carrier setup, but for now I'm just going to go over my belt, and then I'm going to do another video where I tie in the plate carriers and the belt and how that functions. But for now, let's go over my belt. So something I want to go over when looking at a combat belt is there's a couple different routes to go with. A lot of people do a competition belt if you're doing competition shooting, and that belt's very slicked down, it's very rigid, it's very sturdy, it's very tough, it's made out of different material, and it just is designed to hold magazines, and that's about it. Magazines and a holster. This belt is going to be a duty belt. That's also another category, and there's also everyday carry belts. Hopefully once I get a couple more in my collection, I can go over the different kinds and show you, but for now I'm going to show you just my duty belt. And the route that I went with when I first started was G-code. Now, I had a friend that was using G-code, and he was using it for competition shooting as well as dynamic training and whatnot. And I liked the system. It was very affordable. It was a good price, in my opinion, good value, and I had worn one of his belts before as well, and so I had gotten practice with it. G-code is a very reputable brand, and they make good belts. Now, I'm a big fan of Haley Strategic. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not promoted by them. I'm not paid. But Haley Strategic makes a absolutely phenomenal belt in my opinion. And if you ever have a chance, take a look at it. I believe it's their D3 belt, and they just came out with a new one that I'll go over the features of that actually benefit you quite a bit compared to this belt. Now with the G-code belt, Multicam Black, it is a two-belt interface, so you'll have a inner belt that is just a thin Velcro-lined belt that it kind of acts as like something to hold up your pants. It goes through the loops, and then it hooks together. And now this belt has the Velcro insert lined on the inside, and this clips over, it basically sticks over the inner lining belt, and then the Cobra buckle slides together. So adds a little bit more rigidity. I do believe the two-belt system is quite secure and quite nice to have, and I do recommend that as far as a perfect entry-level and serious level belt setup. So let's move in a counterclock fashion when it comes to just explaining exactly what I have on here and why. First things first, on the belt you're going to see my, let me scoot up a little bit. You're going to see my gloves. And so I have an anything hook that is sold by Haley Strategic, and it basically just Velcros into the back of the belt here, so it doesn't take up any MOLLE space, which is nice because you can throw something in front of it if needed. But put gloves, headphones, chem lights, whatever you need to on top of it. Just helpful to have. The gloves are, in case you're curious, these are the pig style gloves, the dexterity ones with the finger slots. And then I digress. I don't know. Sorry. Moving on to magazine pouches. These are the G-code Scorpion magazine pouches. They have been working phenomenally for me. They have great retention, and they are just a solid product, and they're very affordable as well. I've got two pistol mags in here, and then I've got one rifle mag. You can't go wrong with that setup. That's kind of like a standard setup for if anyone was to buy a belt right away. I would suggest you start with two pistol and one rifle. Now, depending on your purpose, your mission, what you need, there are people that do 2 or 3 rifle mags. There's also pouches that stack 2 mags in front of one another so that you can put more on with less space. Depends on your purpose, but the baseline go-to standard for what I've been running is 2 pistol and a magazine. I've used these in competition, and I don't see myself using more than 3 magazines, 1 in the gun, 2 in the holsters. And then the rifle mag is kind of designed to be a very quick reload, accessible mag as opposed to your plate carrier. Hopefully you have one in the gun and then you have one here, but this would be like a rapid deploy kind of magazine situation here. Some MOLLE slots here. Now, this is probably one of the most important parts of the kit, and this is going to be the medical portion of it. Now, if you're having a belt, you need to put medical on here. This is a very important part. If you're out shooting and like your belt is what you're using most commonly, you're not putting your plate carrier on because of the weight, you have a belt so that you have your holster, like you need to have medical on here. And now another important factor is that this medical, it is for you. It is not for anybody else. This is supposed to be a trauma kit with a tourniquet, and this is gonna be for you. Whether or not you are able to grab it or somebody else is gonna come up and grab it and put it on you, this is gonna be just for you only. And if someone else gets hurt, hopefully they have a medical pouch on their belt that you're gonna use for them or they're gonna use on themselves. But I went with the Warrior Poet medical pouch, and the reason why was because it had this system where while I'm wearing the belt, I can reach behind me and grab this tab, and I can just I can pull the kit out. And the entire kit unfolds. Sorry, let me get this back up here. The entire kit unfolds. You have your trauma shears here that are locked in by a little Velcro pouch so that they don't fly out. And then you can unfold this. I don't want to do it all the way because it gets kind of messy, but you can see how the flaps kind of unfold and it comes together. Oh no, what have I done here? Anyways, nice and compact. Tourniquet sits on top of the belt. So I have the med pack and then the tourniquet sits on top of it. So very quick, very rapid deployment system that I am a big fan of. I'm actually going to put that back in later, but highly recommend you have to get a medical kit. Find them on sale, find them in a variety of places. Blue Force Gear has some kits, Haley Strategic has some kits, Warrior Poet Society has some kits. You can't really go wrong, you just need a kit. But think about, I like having this because it's quickly accessible to me. Moving over to the side, a dump pouch. Some people have them, some people don't. I like having a dump pouch just so that when I'm training or running magazines through my gun, I can quickly pick them up and throw them in the pouch if I'm on the go so that I can reload them later. You can put food in here, you can put water in here, you can put a variety of items in here that would be useful for you. And honestly, the one from Haley Strategic does not take up any MOLLE space. So if you're worried about space and you don't want to waste the MOLLE slots on a dump pouch, get this one that has a Velcro backing. It literally sticks to the back of the belt. If I can't show you that, it literally sticks to the back of the belt, and you can still throw MOLLE attachments on the front. This thing also folds up and rolls, and you can Velcro it in so that it doesn't flop around. And there's also a retention strap on the top so that if you have important items in there that you don't want to fall out, you can ratchet strap that closed and it's sealed. So dump pouch, in my opinion, worth it. Now next to that, I have a knife. And a story about this knife is a couple years ago, Magnum Research came out with their version of a 1911, and they put these grips on it that were just kind of sandpapery, kind of hard, but they were really cool, and they were selling this knife with the handgun as a promotional deal. I didn't end up picking one up, but here we are years later, and I'm on good old Palmetto State Armory's website, and they have a they have a deal on this knife for like $50 with the sheath, with the holster. And I'm like, sold. I want to try this thing out. And I didn't know which purpose I wanted my knife for because they have knives that are combat oriented. They have knives that are small and minimalistic. Then you've got big old machetes that can cut through trees. I don't know. I just wanted something really durable, really, really sturdy. And so this bad boy, this is a thick boy. Like, this is a thick knife. And it's heavy, and it's it's probably more than what I need. But thinking about it, if I was combat trained with a knife, which I'm not, this would be a decent combat knife. Like, no one's going to mess with you with this, except it's pretty heavy. And then also, this can cut through some wood. This can cut through materials that I need it to. It's very sharp, it's very heavy, it's very durable. I don't have to worry about this breaking, bending, or whatnot. Like, it's an extremely thick knife. So something to think about. A knife is not necessarily, it's not a necessity, but I did want to have it, and probably the better place for it would be on the opposite side of my belt so that I can quickly grab it with my left hand and it's not associated with my handgun. If I have the handgun here, I'm going to grab the handgun first, not the knife, if that makes sense. So the knife is more of a utilitarian purpose. And then moving on to the actual firearm, you're going to have a G-code system here. Now, not diving too far into it, but pretty much the gold standard when you pick a holster is you're going to decide between two. And you're going to go either with a G-code system or you're going to go with a Safariland system. Me personally, I went with a G-code system. It's very popular, it's very easy to use, and I am switching to Safariland. As we speak right now, in the mail, there is Safariland gear coming in, and I'm going to switch over to their QLS fork system. And the only reason why is because that's what everyone, as far as military law enforcement, is using. And I do find that Safariland has a slight edge as far as when people are making products and holsters and other attachments. It seems to be a little bit more towards the Safariland side. Not the G-code. I'm serious, G-code has so many options. And there's so many people that make holsters that are G-code compatible. Now, going into that a little bit more, this is a T-Rex Arms holster, and it's clipped to the side of this hanger. So This is the G-Code RTI hanger, and basically what it is it's a little slot. You attach a plate to the back of your holster or whatever it is you're mounting, and then that slides on top, and then there's a little button that locks it in place. So you can switch between holsters rapidly and attachments quickly, just like you can with Safariland. Safariland just has like a 3-prong fork system. And then attached to that is going to be a leg strap. So my holster, again, T-Rex arms. That is the plate on the back of it that I have. That slides on top. Let me clear the firearm for you. Nothing in the magazine, nothing in the firearm itself. So you take the firearm, plop it on top, give it a push down, clip it into place. Boom. System's great. Love it. Reliable. This is their drop leg holster setup, and they have a couple different options too if you want to get lower or higher, but I find this to work the best for me. Now, let me demonstrate putting the belt on real quick, just so I can show you some things. So you'd obviously, I would have my inner belt on before I did this, and this would Velcro to the inner belt for time's sake purposes. I'm just going to kind of show you what it looks like with it clipped on, and I'm gaining a little weight there. So strap the belt on. You're going to take your leg strap, put it around. I have the Cobra buckle. Boom. Locked in place, secure, magazines ready to go. So in case I have to reload, I have 2 different magazines that I can switch between and easily set in there. Overall, let me give you a turn. Beautiful. Great belt setup. Now I do want you to see something though. So on the front here, there's a lot of extra space because, you know, I've eaten a couple pies and I've had some Skittles and I've gained some weight. So I've got this adjusted so that, you know, it fits me. But the problem with this is that there's a lot of extra space that's being wasted here. And you can't really use it, and it's just, you know, it's dead space. And what it's doing also is it's pushing. So actually, let me buckle this back up. It's pushing my firearm system further behind me. So instead of having it, you know, kind of more up close and, you know, where I'm used to grabbing right here, everything's getting pushed backwards because I'm getting big, I'm getting fat. And so here's where the Haley Strategic D3 belt comes in handy, and I'll explain it. So their system basically allows it to, the sizing portion of it threads underneath the belt, and the actual buckle itself clips in, and so that you have far more MOLLE space. You have a lot more space to attach things, and also everything is where it needs to be. So that's something to kind of consider when it comes to adjustments. Now, like I said, when I bought this belt and it was a medium, it was different. I've gained size, so obviously if you buy a belt that's current to your size, you probably won't run into this issue, but it is something to consider. And it does make a difference when your holster starts pushing, you know, to behind you, and it's no longer just a side reach moment. It is you're turning around, performing a 45-degree turn, and then drawing from your ass cheek. Sorry for my language, but, you know, it's a big difference. So guys, that's the gist of my belt setup. The purpose behind it and why I had a design like this was going to be for not only competition shooting, but duty-related items, duty-related purposes. So, you know, for the competition, like I've got extra magazines here. It's great. It's not the lightest weight system that you would probably want in a competition, but it does the job very, very well. And I don't notice a difference between this and like maybe just running the belt with 2 mags only. But yeah, this serves its purpose. It's very handy. The only thing I would probably add onto it in the future is potentially, you know, like a multi-tool pouch so that I could have a multi-tool in there, maybe a smoke pouch that's really that's more just like for funsies. I don't really know situations where I would be using smokes other than to designate markers, locations, or have some fun. But think about how you want to set out your system and think about your purpose behind it and why you need it. But overall, I do think a belt is extremely important. If you don't buy a plate carrier first, I think the belt is usually the first thing that people tend to buy because you can holster your firearm and, you know, practice drawing. Like, that's typically the way to go. And you can't go wrong with G-Code. You also can't go wrong with Haley Strategic. Again, I'm going to give you the same recommendation that I am giving with the plate carrier setup. in that look for the most popular brands out there and just buy one. It's not, they're all going to do great things and they're all going to be very, very, very similar to themselves. Buy one and start small. Start with a medical kit and start with 2 pistol mags and 1 rifle mag. That's what you need. Obviously in your holster, you know, pick a holster system, but start small and then build from there. Other than that, you can't really go wrong, and I think a belt is very important. Well, guys, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. Give me your opinions on my belt setup and let me know your belt setups as well. I'd be very curious to see how you have them set up and what your opinions are of different brands and companies out there. Until next time, appreciate you subscribing, like the video, and thank you for joining us. In the meantime, stay cool.